Hi, this is a video about how to read the countryside, how to understand the behaviour of the quarry species and make the most of your hunting trips when you're out in the fields. At the moment, I'm studying this field of stubble where the birds have been fluttering around all day, and I'm trying to work out the best place where to put my hide and where to site my decoys. No matter what quarry species you go for, there's a reason for them being there. They know the countryside better than you and I ever could do. They live in wild, wild places, and the things that govern them are food and habitat. And you have to understand those. You have to be able to understand and to read the quarry species, read their body language, and understand what they're up to if you're going to get success. Right now, I'm trying to work out the flight lines the birds take when they come into the field and the flight lines they take as they go out. They don't just fly around anywhere. You've got to think of a field rather like a room. It has one or two doors going into it and one or two different doors going out of it. Now here there's a couple of flight lines coming in over that way and the two flight lines going out over that way. And the reason that these are so important is because I want to set up my hide and my decoys immediately under the flight line. So as soon as the birds come over the trees, they see my decoys and think, oh, there's food down there, my mates are enjoying it, I should get down in there with them. That hour of observation will save a whole lot of faffing around. It'll practically guarantee that I get a result. But if I don't spend this time observing, then I could completely waste my day tomorrow. Tomorrow morning I shall be up here and build my hide. I've practically finalised where I'm going to place it because there's a lot of birds travelling along the bushy bank up there. Now the good thing about this particular field is that although it was harvested about a fortnight ago and the corn's growing up and the grass is growing up, the birds are still interested. But because there isn't a great deal of corn on the surface for them to take, they're fluttering around all over the place. So my decoys are probably going to work well if I put them in a fairly small group, because they'll look like there's some food which got overlooked during the previous fortnight. And the birds will come to see what I've got on offer. I've got such a neat little hide just in the edge of the bushes here, I couldn't remember where I'd put it. Now the way to spread out decoys is very simple, in a random pattern around you. That one hasn't got a beak, I'll leave that one. Now I've got some dead birds here, and a magpie which should be, if I put it out about there, should be nicely visible. You never know what might come down and take an interest. These dead birds I shall set up in a second. Now, that is going to circle all the way around me. That's no bad thing. One more. Oh, and another dead one. Now, the birds aren't going to feed that close to the hedge, so I'll put that chap down here. Because there's so little wind, I can afford to face my decoys in practically any direction. What normally happens under those circumstances is that the birds land right in the middle of them. Now, where shall I have him? These birds are getting a bit too close. I'm going to put him down here. Nice little patch here, that'll do him. Head slightly to one side, looks a bit more realistic. How does this all look? That looks pretty good to me. As you can see from this complicated experiment, there's very little wind. It's a very light breeze. Very gentle. It's not enough to worry pigeons, except most of them should land here. They should actually land somewhere around here on that patch, open patch behind us. One of the problems, of course, with shooting in stubble is trying not to hit the stalks. Because as you can see, these birds aren't very high, and you've got to get into the heart or the head. There's not a huge amount to see. Right, I'm going to pace out the distance from here to the hide, so I know what my ranges are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20 yards to the tip of my muzzle. That should do. Very convenient hide. It's got all sorts of things for leaning my rifle against. Bury that out of sight. Safety on. Righto, birds, I'm ready. Have a test look. Yeah, it's pretty good. Dead. I really want there's a stone out there. Just a test shot. There's the one. Let's have a go at that chap. I can't quite see that. Bit high. That was a pretty close stone. Right, let action commence. I want to put my hat on first, I think. You've got to throw your face into shadow so you don't get flashes of sunlight on the skin. So I shall put my gloves on as well, even though it is pretty warm today. Get a bit of string out of the way. Of course, the advantage of gloves and hat is that keeps little insects from biting you, creeping up into small areas of flesh. How many lofting decoys? Oh, I can get a shot through there, no trouble at all. Yeah, of course, you can guarantee that when the birds do arrive, they'll sit in precisely the wrong place, just behind the only twig that I can't shoot past. We shall see. A few kestrels flying around, very little wind, and it's now about, I don't know, 11:30. The birds have just started moving. One of the things about decoying is that this time of year in the summer, you want to start about 11 o'clock, let the birds come in on their field, have their breakfast, go back to the woods. They come back confidently to where they were feeding first thing in the morning. In the winter time, you don't have so much daylight, so it's actually advantageous to be out in position as soon as it starts getting light. There's one just gone in now. No, I want them closer than that. Well, it's in the right area anyway. Well, we did our reconnaissance yesterday, and the wind's exactly the same, but a bit lighter. And the birds are still flying along this bank here with all the bushes on. I've got a couple of decoys up on the lofting pole in the tree behind. And I've got a decent spread of decoys. The birds are already showing an interest in them. And hopefully we'll get one come and sit within range. Now, I haven't made a proper hide so much as adapted the local landscape. Got this nice bush in front of me. It's got brambles entangled with it. I've woven in some thistles and put some old man's beard over the top, because the thing about hide building is you shouldn't actually destroy any valuable trees like young saplings of beech or oak or anything like that. You only make hides out of rubbish stuff like elder and old man's beard and thistles and stuff that nobody's going to worry about, reeds and things like that. And all I've got to do now is to wait for the birds to come up and settle within range. Of course, I don't have to be sitting here. I could be out doing something else, of course, like decoying crows and rooks. There's some good places around, especially on these stubble fields. There's just so much food around.